Prelude.
Oh, yeah.
You played the prelude? Okay, then let us start with our opening words. I think the one thing I don't have now is my my order of service, so we'll just follow along with my script. The opening words this morning come to us from Elena Westbrook. Hallelujah. As the spring sun coaxes lilies and bluebonnets from the soil, let us celebrate that even after murderous betrayal, after days and nights suspended in torture, when all the world has gone dark and we cried out, "Why have you forsaken me?" Even then there is a sunrise. Even then there is a resurrection. If we will climb the hill to look for it. If we roll away the stone and recognize the different shapes that hope can take to walk among us in the returning light. And will you join me in the words for lighting the chalice? May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. Our first hymn is number 361. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Enter, rejoice.
Rejoice and come in. When you're used to the song, it will be a joyful day. Open your hearts, everyone. It will be a joyful day. You need.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter,
Rejoice and come in.
today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
And now will you look in the back of your hymnals for responsive reading number 666, The Legacy of Caring. I will read the parts that are not in italics, and you get to read the italics part. Despair is my private pain, born from what I have failed to say, failed to do, failed to overcome. I return to you to renew my life. I turn to the world, the streets of the city, the worn tapestries of brokerage firms. Rage and pain in the faces that turn from me, afraid of their own inner worlds. From within this world, my despair is transformed to hope. Each week we come into this church bearing the joys and concerns of life. At this time, we'd like to share some of the more significant events that have happened this past week. We'd like to invite you to come up, take the mic, and tell us about your joys or your sorrows, and light a candle for yourself and those around us who share your feelings. Would anyone like to get us started?
Good morning. I have 3 joys to share. First, after 3 years, I have my car back. Yep. And this past week, I brought it over the 60,000 mile mark. Every time I get in that thing, I sit down and put my hands on the steering wheel and then reach for the gear shift and go. So the car I drove from 2005 to 2019, my 2005 Cavalier, had the gear shift off the steering wheel. So, including 3 years of not driving at all, it's been 6 years since I lost that car when a UB student pulled out of a parking lot right into me as I was going down the highway. And 6 years later, I still immediately reach for the non-existent gear shift. My second joy is I received a letter this past week that started something like, "Dear Linda," that's a good, promising beginning. "Congratulations. I am pleased to inform you that you have been admitted to Methodist Theological School in Ohio for the fall 2025 semester." Thank you. Welcome to our learning community. And then it went on to my third blessing. I wish to also inform you that you have been given the full tuition recognition scholarship, which is good for full or part-time study, as long as you maintain a minimum of a 3.0 GPA. So, thank you.
Congratulations.
So for as long as it takes me to graduate, whether I'm full-time or part-time, as long as I have that minimum 3.0, and generally speaking, I've never had a GPA that low most of the time that I've been in school, my tuition will be free. I'm going to light a candle. We have plenty of candles.
Go for it, Linda. You deserve 3 candles, at least.
Good morning, everybody. I'm super happy. My very good friend Sarah Reed is here. She is the person who comes from Maine, the state, all the way here to take me out to the Cape. And we're going to do a little detour to go to Philadelphia, and guess who we're going to see? Judy Bongiovanni. Judy. I just heard from her last night that she's willing to take us, to see us, and we're just so delighted that we have that chance. I will be passing around some cards. If anybody remembers Judy, we would like you to sign a card for her. But it's just a real thrill. And then after all that, I'm going to go to the Cape, and then she's going to drive me back here. So I have lots of people to thank in my life, and I'm very, very happy for that, as well as this church that allows us to be who we are. Anyone else like to speak? Patty?
One thing first.
Oh.
Other joy is Eric and Marshall came back. And then my next joy is Mr. Ewing is over his nasty bug and he's back. And my two concerns, we're almost out of books again for the outside library, and somebody's been trying to get on the fire escape. I keep pushing it up, but then somebody is pulling it down. So I think maybe we have our, well, yeah, but we're having our summer visitors returning.
I got an email this morning from some friends of ours, and they advised that, and they had beautiful pictures from Niagara Square in downtown Buffalo. They participated yesterday. Looked like a good showing down there. I told them I was proud of them and that I hoped I could join them on a future event at some time soon. But it's important work they're doing, and I feel a lot of gratitude to them for standing up and doing what's necessary.
That is good to hear.
I just want to light a candle today as a longtime member of this church, one of your more elderly members. I have a perspective perhaps that some of you don't have about how we are still here. Our small church, not so small today, by the way, our small church has been supported by so many people, and we can see the evidence of that and their contributions all the time. One person that I think many of you who haven't been here as long as I might not be aware of is I'd just like to light a candle today for Peter Diachin and all he's done for this church to keep us here, to keep us dry. He actually practically single-handedly fixes our roof. I don't know if you need any help with that later now, Peter, but he has managed to keep this sanctuary dry. He has, he and a group he was the inspiration, and he got a group together, and that's why we have an elevator. He provided two wonderful funding projects when we're always struggling for money, as you know. But he started bingo. And we did that for many years in our church, quite unusual for a Unitarian church to do bingo. What was interesting, besides the fact that it gave us much needed revenue, is how it was a community builder within the church. And one of the other wonderful projects I was part of was when we did, we had special weekends, a weekend a year where we advertised to all UUs, and you could come and we would arrange for housing and meals and tours of Niagara Falls in the summer. And I have especially good memories of that, and the challenges, of course, we faced, but the memories. I just think sometimes, well, all right, at my age, I like to do the memory lane thing, and I just wanted to speak about, I was thinking this last week, everyone is so aware of everything our Betsy has done in the community. Peter also was a big a contributor to community organizations, but particularly to this church. So just a candle for Peter today.
And that is truly well-deserved. Thank you for those words.
I just have a joy. I don't have a chance to visit cousins, aunts, uncles, people like that, my family often, but yesterday, because as most of you know, I've been taking care of my parents down in Wellsville, New York. It's a 2-hour drive from here. So when I go down there, I'm like down there 2, 3, 4 days at a time, and then I'm back home here. But anyways, my Aunt Donna and I and her son, Pat, my cousin, and my brother, we got together. We got all the photo albums from my dad. He gave them to me. And I've been digitizing all of the pictures. There was 618 pictures, and I digitized them all in, well, less than a day. Actually, I could not believe how fast I was. I gotten pretty good with the camera, I guess. But they're all digitized, and it just really is a joy to me because I can share them with family, friends on Facebook. Pictures of me growing up. My mother is a teenager, my dad is a teenager, and it's just really, really was great to do. Oh, and I want to thank you too, Peter, for everything you do. Thank you very much.
Do we have any other joys and concerns? Well, perhaps someone could light one last candle for all of the unspoken joys and concerns in our community. And we will move on to the offering. The weekly offering honors the efforts that we all make to keep the doors of this church open and welcoming to everyone who passes through them. Please give generously to support that mission, to be a welcoming congregation for everyone, no matter where you come from, who you love, or what you believe in. Our meditation reading this morning comes from the Gospel of Luke. On the first day of the week, very early in the morning, the women took the spices they had prepared and went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. While they were wondering about this, suddenly 2 men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them. In their fright, the women bowed down with their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still with you in Galilee. The Son of Man must be delivered over to the hands of sinners, be crucified, and on the third day be raised again." Then they remembered his words. When they came back to the tomb, they told all of these things to the 11 and the others. It was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the others with them who told this to the apostles. But they did not believe the women, because their words seemed to them like nonsense. Peter, however, got up and ran to the tomb. Bending over, he saw the strips of linen lying by themselves, and he went away, wondering to himself what had happened. Now, that same day, 2 of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles away from Jerusalem. They were talking with each other about everything that had happened. As they talked and discussed these things, Jesus himself came up and walked along with them, but they were kept from recognizing him. He asked them, "What are you discussing together as you walk along?" They stood still, their faces downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, asked him, "Are you the only one visiting Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened here in these days?" "What things?" he asked. "About Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "He was a prophet, powerful in word and deed before God and all of the people. The chief priests and our rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one who was going to redeem Israel. And what is more, it is the 3rd day since all of this took place. In addition, some of our women amazed us. They went to the tomb early this morning, but they didn't find his body. They came and told us they had seen a vision of angels who said he was alive. Then some of our companions went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but they did not see Jesus." He said to them, "How foolish you are, and how slow to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Did not the Messiah have to suffer these things and then enter his glory?" And beginning with Moses and all of the prophets, he explained to them what was said in the scriptures concerning himself. As they approached the village to which they were going, Jesus continued on as if he were going further. But they urged him strongly, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening. The day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them. When he was at the table with them, he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and began to give it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he disappeared from their sight. They asked each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road and opened the scriptures to us?" They got up and returned at once to Jerusalem. There they found the 11 and those with them assembled together and saying, "It is true, the Lord has risen and appeared to Simon." Then the 2 told what had happened on the way and how Jesus was recognized them when he broke the bread. And let's take a moment of silence to reflect on that, and then we will start the sermon. According to the gospel reading that we've just heard, Easter is celebrated to commemorate the resurrection of Christ. As the story goes, 3 days after he was crucified, when the stone was rolled away from the cave that was being guarded by Roman soldiers, Christ's body was missing. The women who had come to anoint his body for burial were mystified. Later, the resurrected Christ appeared to his disciples and to Mary Magdalene, showing the wounds he had endured while he was on the cross, to prove to them that the body they saw was indeed him and not a ghost. Only after he had made these appearances and met with the disciples did he ascend to heaven. Many of us look on this Bible reading as a myth. Real human beings don't arise from the dead. So then, what is the value of it? The Bible is full of parables, simple stories that illustrate the morals or spiritual lessons. For Christians, the story promises hope, faith, and belief in an afterlife. For those of us who are skeptics, is there something in these words that we can listen to and think about? Let's ask ourselves, are there any of us who are the same person we were on, let's say, the 10th Easter we celebrated? No doubt at that time, we still believed in the Easter bunny and expected to find at least one chocolate egg waiting for us on Easter morning. We may have spent time with our parents and siblings or friends dyeing Easter eggs, or gone on an Easter egg hunt. We might have gone to church and come home to the smell of a ham roasting in the oven and the enjoyment of sharing a large meal with extended family and friends. We were definitely dressed in our Sunday best. Easter meant spring, and spring calls out for new things. Easter Sunday was a time to show off our finest spring outfits. The air held the promise of warm summer days to come, lifting our spirits with the thoughts of spending time outdoors, playing with our buddies on long afternoons. So let's fast forward 10 years. What did we think about Easter as we entered our 20s? We no longer believed in the Easter bunny, although we would happily steal a little bit of chocolate from our younger siblings or cousins. We'd still dress up a bit, maybe help cook the traditional Easter dinner, and certainly partake of it. We might be thinking about our first, well, I gotta flip the page here, or second year of college coming to close at the end of the spring semester. And what were we going to do for a summer job? We were definitely different people than we were when we were 10 years old. If we went on comparing snapshots of ourselves just at this one time of the year, through the decades, we would see how much we change. Our personal lives change, our goals change, and the world around us changes. Kids today still believe in the Easter bunny. Christians still celebrate the resurrection of Christ. But how many families gather for that traditional Easter feast? How many bring out their spring best for the day? Or how many people look forward to the simple pleasures of spring, being outdoors, gardening, going to baseball games? Life is more casual than it used to be. And it is also more complicated than it used to be. Yet most of us still mark Easter every year in some way. It is the rare person who doesn't get a few scars as they go through life. We break wrists, have surgeries, contract illnesses, and that's just the physical side. We lose people we love. We go through bad marriages. We are called upon to raise kids who challenge us more than we expected. We continue our educations and change careers, like Linda. Sometimes we lose a job and we have to find a new one. We move from one house or town to another. Every 4 or 8 years, we witness changes in our government. Laws change. Life is fluid, and if you don't learn how to go with the flow, at some point you're going to be left behind. Every so often, usually when we least expect it, we experience the death of life as we know it. And because our survival instincts are strong, at these times we would say that we go through our own forms of resurrection. In the book, Active Hope, authors Joanna Macy and Chris Johnstone talk about the life of Thomas Clarkson, who in 1785 was all set to become an Anglican minister and was studying theology at Cambridge in England. Then Clarkson decided he would enter an essay contest, and the theme of the contest was slavery. So he began to research the trade. I don't know how he did it without Google, because I couldn't do anything without Google. Clarkson was horrified by what he found about the transatlantic slave trade. He won the contest, dropped his plans for the ministry, and joined the Quakers, who had begun a campaign against the practice of slavery. At the time, the slave trade was well established, and most members of the British House of Commons believed the idea of abolishing the slave trade was unnecessary, visionary, and impracticable. Opposition was so strong that Clarkson was nearly killed by a mob on the docks of Liverpool. But Clarkson had been resurrected with a new purpose, and he had become determined to follow that purpose. There are many stories of note about people who have remade themselves at least once, if not more, in their lifetimes. Harriet Tubman escaped slavery to become a free woman. Can you imagine what a transition that must have been? Think about it. What does a person who's born into slavery know about living as a free person? In her new life, though, Tubman helped 70 other enslaved people escape their owners. Virginia Hall was born into a wealthy Baltimore family. She wanted to work for the Foreign Service prior to the Second World War, but they wouldn't hire her. So she got a job as a clerk with the U.S. Embassy in Warsaw. In 1933, a hunting accident took her left foot, and she applied again to the Foreign Service, but was rejected because she was an amputee. When the Second World War broke out, she first drove ambulance for the French Army and later became one of Europe's most successful spies. Hall was the only woman during World War II who was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. Then, after the war, she lived quietly, working in the US for the CIA until she reached retirement. Talk about a person living one life, losing it, and going on to live yet another one. There is a tendency when we reach an impasse to look at what is in front of us and think that we are facing an impossible task. Being widowed was one of those moments for me, and I've found that many of my peers feel exactly the same way. Yet, we must start putting one foot in front of the other and building new lives. We must start our own resurrection. Macy and Johnson write, "We begin from where we are, taking in a clear view of reality. Then, from that starting point of awareness, we identify what we hope for. The third step is to head in that direction." How many times in life do we recognize that our current situation is taking us nowhere? It's time to change direction. We must let go of our old selves. We must let that old self pass on and unearth a new self, a self that can survive in new circumstances in which we are living, the ones that are pertinent to us today. This happens to us as individuals, and it also happens to our societies. Today's Earth faces climate change, habitat loss, mass extinction of species, and extreme inequality. Certain events are signaling to us it's time to make our voices known. Perhaps time to cast off the quiet lives that we have been living in exchange for ones where we make more noise about the path our country is on. Last week's much heralded spaceflight was very discouraging for me and those of us who care about extreme poverty, climate change, and the polarization of the world's economy. $28 million was spent sending 6 women above the Earth's atmosphere for 11 minutes so they could cavort around like they were on a ride in Disney World. What changes can be effected, and how many of us need to lead the charge in order to make people who have that kind of money and power understand they could be putting it into causes that can make real positive change in the world? It seems like an impossible task. Well, Nelson Mandela had a saying, "It always seems impossible until it's done." Macy and Johnson tell us what we need is commitment. We must first acknowledge where we are. We must give up our hope that the untenable path that we are on is going to magically right itself. And we must look at what is possible if we put our minds to it and choose what we are going to get behind and give ourselves to. Focusing on the best and most realistic outcome, starting from where we are, helps us nourish the conviction that our actions will make a difference. Commitment. This is how we are born again, resurrected into new life. Every time our lives take a turn, graduation from high school, graduation from college, getting married, divorce, starting new careers, losing important people in our lives, we have a chance then to resurrect ourselves. Sometimes we know that in subtle ways we are changing. Sometimes it's not until we look back at Easter's behind us that we see how many turns our lives have taken, how many different people we've been. Active hope suggests when we want to make the impossible become reality, we need to recognize 4 motivating factors: the inspiring examples we can find in history, the phenomenon that there are pivotal moments of change in life for all of us, the practice of facing our own thresholds of tolerance, and our previous experiences of perseverance. The older we get, the more of these factors have become integrated into our personalities, and that enables us to move more easily in new directions. I would like to think of the resurrection story as a reminder that life is a series of transitions, and we are not the same person as we evolve through those transitions as we were in previous versions of ourselves. My 24-year-old granddaughter, Sky, recently came to live with me, and I find it very interesting to have her sit in on dinners with my older friends. She has ADHD, and because of that, although she wants to start college, she is fearful of starting college. My friends give her historical inspiration. Two of them became nurses at mature ages, and they talk about how they found help through tutors who spoke their language, who could teach to their shortcomings. One has a daughter who's working on her PhD, but she has been through many different lives getting to that stage. Sky has yet to realize that there is no age when we say, we're finished, we're complete people because we're adults. She is having trouble facing her threshold for tolerance, for seeing that it's time to leave her current comfort zone. But she does have enough experience to recognize that she can persevere. Someday, hopefully sooner rather than later, everything will come together for her and she will start on her new path. Without realizing it, the old Sky will be a person of the past, and she will be resurrected with all of her existing scars, but into a new life. We all live on because somehow we always manage to resurrect ourselves. Whatever blows life brings us, like Christ, we are resilient. We adapt. We know there's always going to be a next step, and as much as we claim to hate change, we incorporate it into ourselves. The Easter story, the myth, the resurrection of Christ, is lived out in our fellow human beings every day. The story is there to remind us of that, to remind us always to come down on the side of hope, to remind us to keep the faith that humankind is always going to be resilient, to remind us that we as individuals and as a society will always rise again. It might take us more than 3 days, but we will survive. So be it, and blessed be. And will you join us now for hymn number 266 in your hymnal?
Now the green blade riseth from the buried grain, wheat that in dark earth many days has lain. Love lives again, that with the dead has been. Love is come again, like wheat that riseth green. Laid in the earth like grain that sleeps unseen. Love is come again like wheat arising green. When our hearts are wintry, grieving or in pain, love touch can call us back to life again. Fields of hearts, the dead are dead are. Love is come again like wheat rising green.
Do we have any announcements this morning?
Happy Easter. So this morning we have, these are the canvas bags. If you'd like to take one, we could use these for the Easter downstairs, or if you're not able to stay, you're welcome to take one with you. Those of you who do want to participate downstairs, On the tables, we have adult beverages. You're welcome to put them in their bag and take them home. We also have about 24 Easter eggs. If you'd like to find them, they have, some of them have candy in them, edibles, and they're labeled with, most of them have cannabis in them, and they're labeled with how many milligrams. We did have somebody donate cookies that she made herself that are edibles. I asked for how many milligrams, and she just said, eat at your own risk. So they're labeled, eat at your own risk. Those are in the eggs. I will have lunch downstairs. The lunch is just normal food. We'll have lunch and cake and cookies. You don't have to participate, but everybody please take it back.
Well, now I wish more than ever that I was there. Are there any other announcements to be made? Okay.
I wonder, well, first of all, I want to say this. All the years that I've been here, I love this church, and I love all the people in it. And a lot of times I couldn't hear you. I have new hearing aids. My hearing aids are hooked up because of Peter to the telecoil. I heard everything you said. I'm so excited. So that's one thing. The other thing is that at Betsy's service, I mentioned that maybe the church would be interested in doing the cleanup, the citywide cleanup as a church in Betsy's name. If you're interested in doing that, it's May 10th. Any other announcements? Thank you.
Okay. Our closing words come to us from Alex Holt. For all those who celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, may this day be yet another affirmation of divine love and promise. For all those who see the eternal story of new spring and life beginning anew, may you breathe deeply of a season of promise and hope. For all who are experiencing despair or hopelessness this Easter, may you live and find in darkness or depression a doorway to light and warmth that offers you freedom. For all of us, together we can do what no one isolated person can do. Rolling the heavy stone aside reminds us we are far more powerful than ever we could be on our own. Our offering of strong hands to help, our prayers made real. Let us begin again to love. And will you join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice, which are written in your order of service? We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Not sure why duckies figure into the Easter bit, but I happen to like duckies. And I
They
recently,
are cute.
what?
I said they are cute.
Well, yeah, and they waddle and crack and stuff. So, rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath time loads of fun. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully fond of you. Vovodio, rubber ducky, joy of joys. When I squeeze you, you make noise. Rubber ducky, you're my very best friend. It's true. Oh, every day when I make my way to the tubby, I find Rub-a-dub-dubby. Rubber ducky, you're so fine.